Good evening. Here we are on a beautiful Monday afternoon. With some really good football kind of that took place yesterday, and then some really bad football by others. Now today, we're gonna take some time to talk over a couple of those games. Also, to note, I will be posting my power rankings finally going into the second half of the season by at least Wednesday, no later. So keep an eye out for that. I'll also probably talk about it on Wednesday as well. But anyways, let's get rolling. Are you ready to get your fix? Well, let's get started with the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Wisconsin to take on the Green Bay Packers. Now, before this game took place, I had multiple people ask me if, the Vikings could possibly get the job done. And to be completely honest, I told all of them, there's no way. Absolutely no way. Just the way they've been playing, I just didn't think Green Bay would go into this game and just lay an egg. I honestly thought they were going to come and steamroll the Vikings, and that's not what happened. But hey, Green Bay coming into this game, they had outscored their opponents by 197 to 159, so almost 40 points. Now, I do think this spread would be larger if Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones hadn't gotten injured. Now, this is a good Packers. This is a good Packers team this is a good Packers team with a solid offense for the most part, not counting the interceptions with the defense that needs a lot of work. Well, the Vikings defense played really, really well yesterday, okay, where Devontae Adams was the only player that was able to really do anything. I mean, Jamal Adams did just fine, but he wasn't, stellar by any means. The Packers got exposed yesterday, and by that, I mean they cannot, for the life of them, stop the run game. This is the exact same way they played the run game last season, where eventually the run sent the Packers packing their bags when the 49ers decided to run a marathon all over them and lose the NFC Championship game. Now, don't get me wrong. The Packers secondary is really good, but the rest of the defense has a hard time stopping the run, and I think that could be due to the fact that when they blitz, they usually almost send all their linebackers, and if one misses a hole or gets touched, it gives the running back time to blow right by. Okay, and now you have to chase him down. And that just adds for too many yards. They had to do that all day against Dalvin Cook. Dalvin just would run. He'd get about 8 to 10 yards because they were always behind him, coming from behind. So Dalvin Cook, he ran all over this Packers team, okay? And they should have been able to do something about it because it was really windy that day, which means one thing. Teams are going to run the ball, and, they're going to run it way more than they throw it. And the Packers just couldn't adjust, and it lost them the game. Minnesota did a great job moving the ball with Dalvin, but I do think we need to see Dalvin and Madison split snaps a little more just because of the history that Dalvin has with injuries. Now, this was a really good outing by Minnesota, who got the win 28 to 22. So my top three performers for the Vikings are Dalvin Cook, Eric Kendricks, and then Harrison Smith. For the Packers, I got Aaron Rodgers, Robert Tonyan, and Devontae Adams. So moving over to the New Orleans Saints taking on the Chicago Bears. Now, this was a bad game overall, as both teams have a really nice and solid defense. But have you seen their offenses? They're really bad. Okay, neither team could really sustain a drive. And when they did, it was because of one or two big plays that helped them get into the end zone or red zone. Michael Thomas, he still hasn't played. And like I've noted the past couple weeks, they really miss him and are only using one guy for their entire offense, Alvin Kamara. You're going to have a tough time when you can't throw the ball more than 20 yards down the field and you can only use one guy to try and win you the game and hope your defense stops the opponent enough to win. Get other players involved, and if they aren't doing their part, then why are they even out there? The Saints need to figure something out fast, because if they want to go to the playoffs, they won't make it out of the second round, but maybe the first. Now, before I get to the Bears' performance, there was a scuffle during this game that was kind of really unprofessional and uncalled for, where Bears wide receiver Javon Wims decided to walk up to a defensive back and rip his chain off and then smack him in the helmet a couple times. Now, if you can't take smack talk, then why are you in the NFL? I mean, you wear pads for a reason. You can hit people as hard as you want. So how about next time, instead of acting like a little child, just go hit him as hard as you can on a block. Just go give him the beans then. Don't be so immature about everything, because come on, man. It was very uncalled for. It's just something that should have been handled a little differently, and I hope he knows that. I think he's actually trying to appeal his 2-game suspension that he got, but just totally uncalled for and childish. Now, the Chicago Bears, they still have a quarterback problem. Okay, and I can guarantee they're in the mix for probably Justin Fields or Trey Lance, because Trevor is obviously going to go number one unless he decides to stay in college. Now, I did think for the Bears, for once, did do a good job running the ball. David Montgomery did great, and if he continues to run like he did against the Saints, he won't lose his job. He had 21 rushes for 89 yards, which is more than Gurley had on that on 23 carries, and he only had like 46 yards, I'm pretty sure. The Bears had a chance to win this game, okay? But the Saints took it into overtime, won the toss, and then on their second drive, they ended up kicking a field goal that was pretty close, and the Saints came away with a 26-23 victory. Overall, bad offensive game, pretty good defensive game. My top three performers for the Saints are Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Jared Cook. For the Bears, I got David Montgomery, Allen Robinson, and Anthony Miller. So finally, let's talk about that awful, and I mean awful, Cowboys and Eagles game. The Cowboys are really, really bad, and I don't care that they have a third-string quarterback in the game because he will do his job as long as the defense can help him out a little bit. I mean, this Cowboys defense is supposed to be top-notch, and they look completely confused out there. And when you're letting the opposing team score all the time, it's hard for your quarterback to bring you back into the game. Okay, it's almost impossible if you're going to let them score almost every time they go down the field. It's really impossible. I mean, help your quarterback out a little, and maybe you can win the game. Maybe at least win one game. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Cowboys are 2-4, or now they're 2-5. It's ugly over there. Now, back-to-back weeks, the Cowboys lost to the Washington football team, 3-25, and then the Eagles, 9-23. Okay, they let division rivals outscore them 48 points to the Cowboys 12. You will and cannot win games kicking only field goals when your defense can't stop the other team. Okay, now the Eagles are not that good because they like to turn the ball over way too much, and the Cowboys couldn't capitalize on any of them. Carson Wentz leads the NFL in interceptions this season, right above Kirk Cousins. And the fact they can beat what's supposed to be a good defense, it's laughable. I mean, that Cowboys team is just garbage this year. I don't understand it. I think a lot of it has to do with coaching and being a leader. Somebody has to step up in that locker room, be a leader, and get these guys going because this is a good team. They're just not showing it. Now, don't get me wrong. The Eagles, they have a pretty solid run game, okay, but they still have a bunch of lawn chairs at wide receiver, with the exception of Jalen Reagor and Dallas Goedert. But when you can't get them the ball, you're going to have a hard time scoring and winning games. Okay, I think Goddard got the ball once. That's your starting tight end. He needs to have the ball at least 5 times. Okay, but somehow they were able to sneak away with the win over a really, really ugly team in the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I only have one top performer for the Cowboys, and that is their kicker, Greg Zuerlein, who scored all 9 points. So at least the Cowboys have, something going for them. If that kicker wasn't there, it'd be, 23-0? It's laughable for them. My top 3 performers for the Eagles, Boston Scott, Travis Fulgham, and Jalen Reagor. Well, that's going to end our discussion today, as now we wait for the game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants, which should be a blowout by the Bucs, walking away victorious easily. So be ready for that. I think Chris Godwin's out with a broken finger. We got Mike Evans in the mix, and then this is the last week we get to see the Bucs without Antonio Brown, as he's coming next week. He has sort of that 8-game suspension, which is up after this week. So just be prepared for a blowout victory here tonight by the Bucs. If I'm wrong, hey, so be it. At least I would have. Everybody else in America probably thinks the Bucs are going to win this game. So anyways, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow, and you just got your fix with the Wicks.